So I've been asked to react to Been Here from the Start. I'm told it's a train wreck, but I'm fair, so let's give it a go. Okay, so in this first shot we see a black sub-Saharan legionary next to a wall. I know exactly what it's depicting. In a famous story recorded in the Historia Augusta, I believe, in 208 AD, Emperor Septimius Severus was inspecting Hadrian's Wall in North Britannia, where he spotted an unusual sight. An Ethiopian, which was basically the Greco-Roman name for any black sub-Saharan African, and Septimius said the colour of his skin was ominous and implied that the sight of this black man was an omen. He ordered the Ethiopian to be taken away, removed from his sight. This story firstly demonstrates that Ethiopians in Britain were exceedingly rare and somewhat novel, and also perhaps shows Roman racist attitudes towards black people. I also have to wonder, is this story really worth celebrating in this song? And also, why is his armor gold in color? That's very inaccurate. Oh boy, let's start unpacking Cheddar Man. So, Cheddar Man was a Mesolithic person living in Britannia about 10,000 years ago, and the best evidence shows that he was indeed black to brown in colour, with black hair and perhaps green or blue eyes. Evidence also seems to show that dark-skinned people were quite common in Britain during this time. However, I think it's important to note that Britons, referring to Celt and later Anglo-Saxons, were not direct descendants from Cheddar Man. Modern-day British people only share about 10% of their genetic ancestry from Cheddar Man, which demonstrates that the agricultural farming Celt invaded and colonized Britain at some point in the last 10,000-ish years and wiped out the hunter-gatherer people who Cheddar Man belonged to. It's also interesting to hear that Cheddar Man's genetic cluster appears to have originated from the Middle East and isn't at all related to the earlier people from Britannia who were lighter skinned. This suggests that the people Cheddar Man belonged to may have invaded Britain maybe 14,000 years ago, and Cheddar Man is not indicative of the people who came before, so the more indigenous people. Indigenous is a problematic term, as I'm sure you can notice by now. And Cheddar Man is also not indicative of the people who came after him. And also, what's up with this cow? As I've said earlier, agriculture and the domestication of cattle arrived with the Celts, who wiped out the people who Cheddar Man belonged to, so this is weird. Oh dear, where do we even start? Okay, the Roman emperor in question is undoubtedly Septimius Severus, and saying he was black is like saying Elon Musk is black because he's from Africa. Yes, he was the first Roman emperor to come from Africa, and the province he came from was actually called Africa, but we need to recognize that this province was essentially modern-day Libya, and the city he was from, Leptis Manga, was originally Carthaginians, hence a Phoenician city, and the people in the city would have been from three main groups, I think. Firstly, the Italian Romans, so not black, the Phoenicians, who were a Semitic people, so not black, and the native Berbers, so not black either. We have to stop imagining Africa as a uniform black continent because it's really large, and in the much less globalized ancient world, the black Ethiopians or sub-Saharan people rarely interacted with the people in the north because of the huge geographical barrier of that was the Saharan desert. It's better to think of North Africans as being part of the broader Mediterranean world. And furthermore, we know Septimius Severus's ancestry ancestry very, very well. On his mother's side, he was Roman, and on his father's side, he was Punic, so Phoenician. If he was black, the sources would have definitely used the Greco-Roman word for black people, which was Ethiopian, and there was a great prejudice against these black Ethiopians, so we would definitely have seen evidence of this in the sources, and there simply isn't any. Okay, let's now move on to the Aurelian Moors line. Okay, in the 3rd century AD, there was certainly a contingent of Roman troops at Hadrian's Wall called the Aurelian Moors, but they came from Mauritania, so modern day Algeria and Morocco. Sure, perhaps some of them were black. That's a definite possibility that I can't possibly rule out. But on the other hand, there's simply no evidence to support this. We just need to assume that these legionaries reflected the majority of the population of North Africa at the time, so they were Berbers, and unless we have extraordinary evidence on the contrary, we need to assume that they were simply lighter skinned.
Queen Catherine and Henry had a trumpet so called John and a maid called Catalina.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm not an expert on medieval British history. I specialise in Greco-Roman history, so I'll give the song the benefit of the doubt. But guess what? History really isn't the story of trumpeters and maids, I'm afraid. It tends to be the recordings of great people who really shook up the geopolitical landscape, which tend to be revolutionaries, warlords, kings, politicians, great religious figures. That would be the main reason why the trumpeter John and the maid Catalina were ignored, not because of their race. And as we saw with the example of the black soldier at Hadrian's Wall during the first part of the song, having a unique skin colour was a novelty that actually probably increased your chance of being recorded in history.
These histories are just stories, there's truth for us to see. That for 10,000 British years, some Brits have looked like me.
Okay, now, we've been here from the start. I just want to talk about that. And for 10,000 years, Brits looked something like me. What do you mean by we and me? The actor here looks sub-Saharan, and Cheddar Man from the beginning of the song is more related to modern-day European people than West Africans, of which the actor looks like he's from there. I hope you can see that I have great issue with people lumping all black people together, for as we can see from just this example, linking Cheddar Man to modern day Africans is beyond problematic. The rest of the song is pretty much more waffle. If you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know in the comment, and thanks for watching.